All right, don't turn this off. I swear it's not about medical dental tourism. It's not about medical dental tourism. I know we're talking to Johnny, but we're not talking medical. We might mention it, but we're going to, you know, Johnny's Tico, right? But he didn't really grow up here. So we're going to get his story. This is like an expat interview in a way. You're like an expat Tico.
Kind of.
So we're going to be talking about his story and how he got here and comparing the United States with Costa Rica a little bit. We might mention medical dental tourism once. Anyway, guys, I'm Michael Allen, travelcostarica.com. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I would appreciate it. If you want to see videos as we put them up, hit the notification bell. We got another relocation retreat coming up soon. I would love to see you there. It's my favoriteest thing to do is talk to you around the pool. It's a 6-7 day event. There's no blowing smoke. It's the good, the bad, the ugly of living in Costa Rica. And at the end, you should know if Costa Rica is right for you or not. It's not for everybody. But I can tell you that the price of admission is worth the contacts you will meet. I surround myself with honest, transparent people. They are the speakers there. And just to know these people is a leg up. You don't want to start anything in Costa Rica with the wrong people. Trust. Is that not true?
Oh, yes.
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 Thank you.
Even if you speak the language.
Yeah, everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. So I would love to see you there. All that information is in a link in the description below. Wow, this is a new one, Johnny. This is new. We're going to get to know Johnny a little more. This is like, I feel like you're an expat, really.
I am.
All right, so dude, you are a Tico. You're from you're born here, right?
Yeah. I was, well,
did you have to check that, or you're not sure where you were born?
I was actually in the U.S., but also here. So I was in both countries. But
You mean like throughout the year?
No, yeah, throughout the year. So I was, my mom wanted to please my grandmother at the time, and said, you know what, maybe we can come over here and we'll be born over there, and we'll get both citizenships at from. So
is both your mom and dad Tico?
No. They're both my mom and dad are Tico, but at the time they weren't citizens. So they thought they could bring back and forth. So they decided.
Wait a minute, your mom and dad are Tico.
Yes.
They were living in the United States.
Yes.
For a long time.
No. my mom and dad.
Did they cross in Mexico?
No, they actually went legally during that time in the late '60s. It was easier to go to the U.S. You didn't have to wait 14 years to apply and all this. There's all these things. So they went legally, and my mom is from Cartago, and my dad is from Heredia.
And I'm assuming all your family is basically here.
Yes,
for the most part. So you were going.
Yes, but my parents didn't meet in Costa Rica. They met in California.
Oh my God, this is complicated. This is like a novella already.
Right.
So how long were you in the United States?
45 years.
Wait, what?
45 years.
I feel like I don't even know you.
Yeah, 45 years.
So you just came back to Costa Rica in the last few...
But yes.
Oh my God, I did not know this. We're learning things. We are learning things.
Yes.
So where'd you meet your wife?
I met her through an American friend here. And we met through WhatsApp, and everything worked out.
Have you always gone back and forth?
Yeah.
So your whole life you've spent time here, but you never were living here necessarily, just visiting. And
just visiting. Never lived here.
And your mom and dad never moved back?
No.
They're still.
My mom recently moved back. She's here, but my dad passed away in 2020.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Actually, I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. So, man, 45 years. So what were you doing? So you just did the whole normal, I'm in the United States. I go to school. I'm going to find a job. I'm going to get married. I'm going to do this, this, and this, and that whole thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So how did you end up here?
Well, at the time, being in healthcare for so many years in IT, because I'm a network engineer by trade, but in healthcare. And I decided, you know what, at the time I was like, I met my wife, and I decided, okay, I was transitioning from another position at a big healthcare company, and I wanted to leave that corporate life. I was I was working 70, 70 to 65 hours a week over there. Um, and, but was always on call, you know, it's like,
So you're never off.
you're never off.
Really?
I was salary, so I was never off. So it's, this is an emergency. It's always an emergency. And you get tired of that.
So you're basically like any gringo that lives in the United States or Canada or Europe that goes, man, I need to change my life. You just happen to have a history with Costa Rica,
Yeah.
in a sense. So
I thought I had an advantage, Mike. I thought I had an advantage.
now, you always spoke Spanish? No,
Yes,
but probably not as well.
but not as well. Because what happened is my mom, she would have me read and write the Bible in Spanish until I was 17. So, and I could only speak Spanish inside the house. So that's how I learned Spanish.
Right. So, okay. So you kind of did what everybody did. You're like, man, there's got to be a better way
Yeah,
or a nicer life.
a nicer life, nicer quality of life.
Yeah. It's all about time, right?
It's
If
just,
you can have a little bit of time.
yes. But
So
it's
you
been-
were already married though when you came back?
yes, well, I met my wife and we got married in the first 6 months.
How long had she been in the States?
She never went to the States.
Oh my God. I'm so okay. WhatsApp. Okay. That's different. It was WhatsApp here.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay.
So she never went to the States. And when I sat down and talked with her, we actually even thought about going to Europe, even different from Costa Rica, but we decided to stay in Costa Rica. It was more, I wanted to try the Costa Rica culture, the whole.
Was it only because you had family here? If your family was never from here, what's the likelihood you would have ended up here?
Probably not. I probably would have had a better chance of ending up in Mexico because growing up in California,
Yeah.
I have umpty friends that are Mexican.
Right. So did you feel, I mean, obviously you had family here. They're Costa Rican, but how Costa Rican did you feel? You know what I mean? Like,
It's funny you ask, Mike, because I'm Costa Rican by birth, my mother and father, but
it stops there.
it stops there because I don't have the perfect accent and I didn't live here all my life. So I'm always looked at, for those of you, I'm always looked at as a Gringo Tico because I always lived in the U.S. But so when I come here, so many things I can't relate to because I never experienced them.
So I'm assuming your attitudes are probably more Western, more United States than they are here. I mean, that's where you were raised.
Yeah.
So more of a go-getter,
Yeah,
you're on time. Well, no, you're not on time.
I try to be.
You are never on. You got be comfortable with Tico time the first day I met you. Good Lord, you segued right back into your customs.
You know, Mike, you're right. But you know, sometimes it's, I try to be on time as much as I can. But you know, I kind of left some of the things that we're always pressured. I even got 4 implants here because I never had time, and I had the best insurance in the States. I had PPO insurance. I was paying $3,000 a month for some fantastic that I could never go to because I couldn't get any time off.
So did you have a difficult time? How 5-6 years ago you came back here?
Almost 6 years now.
Did you have a difficult time almost acclimating?
Yes.
Just because of the cultural differences of how things go? You know, like that, they say Pura Vida here, manana type stuff. Did you have a difficult time with that, or what were your difficulties as far as kind of acclimating back?
Yeah, Pura Vida is a nice word, and it's a nice smile. But to me, I come from a culture that I can't just smile and everything goes away. It's not. That's not what I was brought up with. My parents, you have to be responsible. You have to do. And I'm not to say that Costa Ricans are not responsible. It's just that they have a different outlook that we accepted by coming and living in this country.
Right. So it's interesting that your parents are from here. So they raised you more in that attitude of a States attitude because they could have not.
Yeah.
Well, no, that would have been hard.
Yeah.
You would have got acclimated just by friends and schools and?
Well, it's during that time period. It was a different time period, so it wasn't so many people that were speaking Spanish at the time. So like the ESL classes that are now that are really big.
Yeah.
During my time in kindergarten, I didn't speak any English when I first got to kindergarten, and I had my own separate teacher to learn English. But I learned it in like 3 months, having my own teacher.
So that's where my tax money went.
That was where your tax money
well,
went.
That's good to see it was put to good use.
I had a personal teacher.
So maybe, I mean, a lot of people that are thinking about living here already probably have listened to some of the videos. But what are the big? You mentioned a couple of the bigger differences between the cultures.
Well, Mike, I also, before I came here, I lived in Maine.
We might be connected somewhere.
A little bit.
My whole family's from Maine. My mom was in Portland.
Maine is, in my humble opinion, one of the most beautiful states in the Union.
In the fall, it is freaking unbelievable. I own land in Maine.
Yeah?
I did. I'm right outside of Bar Harbor.
Wow. You know, I stayed in Augusta, and I stayed by a lake, right? But I wanted to experience the East Coast at the time, and the snow is something else in Maine.
Yeah, the winters are rough.
So
but it's still beautiful, but I can't. I'm done with anything below 70 below.
Yeah,
so
you know, and I'm sorry, went to the side. It's just, but from Maine, I came to Costa Rica, and reason I mentioned it is because it was hard. You hear what I learned is these noises that you hear, like cars going by, things. It's different here. You come here, you start hearing birds and different things, and you start hearing. I had a toucan in my first apartment. A toucan would come in at 5 a.m, knock on my window, and they'd want food. A toucan.
A toucan?
Yeah.
Really?
And it would come all. I have all 3 toucans the whole day. One in the morning, one in the midday, and one in the afternoon.
That's kind of cool.
It was kind of cool, but cool. It's you. All these noises. Another thing that was tough on me was
you're talking noises as figuratively and literally.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have, and then the nice things like I love Hostess cakes. You know those powdered donuts.
I know you do.
Those are, but I didn't have any here. And it was crazy.
He misses Hostess cakes if you didn't hear that.
And sometimes when you go to the grocery store or there's things that you don't have them anymore. And that was tough.
So the only reason you basically came back here is because you kind of wanted to get off the hamster wheel, but you really didn't know what you were stepping into.
No.
I mean, it's not like, I'm assuming you're not independently wealthy. You had to work here.
Oh, yeah.
Which you could easily do, though. That's the plus, right? I mean, with the dual citizenship.
I can work either place. But it's a different wage rate here. And then also, do you want to still work inside the U.S.? So it's just kind of but it was tough and it's totally different. I didn't have an advantage. You know, you have an advantage of family here, but
that's it.
That's it. They know you. But once you're here, and even as a gringo, once you're here, then all that nice thing, that shiny gringo, it becomes dull because you live here.
Yeah.
At least what I got.
So Ticos know you're not, that you were born, like they know you're Tico, but they know you're from the States, right? Yeah. They know right away. Do they treat you any different? Do they treat you more gringo or more Tico?
More gringo, because I get gringo price too.
Really?
It happened. Yeah, because
they know from Spanish, basically, right? Because
Spanish,
obviously, if you guys don't know, people from Costa Rica go from pale white to the darkest black and everything between. So it's not like you don't look Costa Rican.
Yeah.
So they tell everything by your dialect and your speaking.
Yeah.
And they probably instantly know that. Yeah, he knows what I'm saying, but he wasn't.
Yeah, he don't know pricing. He don't know.
Well, no, I mean, did they just know you?
Yeah.
Weren't.
I'm not totally local, but I'm local.
Right. Big gringo pressure.
Yeah. No, it happens. It doesn't just happen to.
Yeah, but I got a feeling you probably put him in check now.
A little bit.
So back to that. So what are some of the? You can do differences, good and bad. So did it work? Are you happy with the slower pace?
It was tough adjusting, Mike, because
you always got to
you have to think for people a lot here. Okay.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain that one.
Okay, so I have to prepare when I'm going to a public institution, everything that they're going to ask me and more. And sometimes I might not get it on the first try. So you mentally have to start preparing that the trip that you took all day, that maybe you're out in San Carlos or outskirts to go do something that you got to go into San Jose, may not get done on that trip. You got to be okay with that.
Yes, you do.
You just got to be okay, or be okay that it took you 30 days to get something, and it hit the 30-day mark, and they still haven't got it done, and you have to start all over. You got to be okay with that too.
Do you feel like you have an innately? Is there any Tico in you, in a sense, besides blood? Do you have any kind of like? Are you kind of going, yeah, these are my people. This is how it should. You know what I mean? Like, is there? They say generations pass on to, cultures pass on different attributes and traits, and there's just, that nature nurturing thing. Do you have the nature of a Tico somewhere here, or you're not even really seeing that?
I think my only Tico part aside, well, a lot of it is, what, I love the country. I love what it itself, but sometimes I struggle with it because, you live up in a country for 45 years and you change to this. It's tough.
I used to explain it like, it's like going 100 miles an hour and then hitting the school zone, you can only go 10.
Yeah, no, like it's exactly like that. But for me, it's even worse because I don't always, like, you're one of the few, I have a few American friends here that I can talk to, that can relate to, that can understand what I'm saying when I say certain things. And even if a person speaks English, they don't understand what we mean sometimes. And so you kind of need that sometimes. So I think a balance of both is helped. But yeah, no, I think the uniqueness is that the time thing. Sometimes I'm not always right on the time, but it's not because you want to be that. It's just that it's just like coming today. There was a bunch of cows in the middle of the road. Okay, coming. Okay, and it just and it was a row of 150 cows and then they wouldn't move, and I'm like, but I have the back of my mind, oh, Mike's gonna just get on me because I'm late. But it's just things like that, and you can't. Something that I can tell people is, if you think you need 3 hours, do 5.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
because here anything could happen, and just the roads is just. And then I learned I don't know if you know this, Mike, but I spent the first year when I was here just researching healthcare here to understand what this is here. I didn't because I didn't know. I was just like anybody else. I didn't know how the system worked.
Yeah, real quick, that was 6 years ago. Now he helps people with medical dental tourism. So if you want liposuction, breast augmentation, hip replacement, stem cell therapy, or any of that stuff, go to travelcostaricanow.com, scroll down, fill out a quick form. I'll get it to Johnny, and he can get you to that doctor that you need. Get that grill fixed. Sorry, plug. That's what he does. So, okay, that's a question. If you were doing exactly what you wanted to do here, where would you be? Here or the States? If you were doing exactly what you wanted to do
here.
What's your wife? Would your wife ever go back to the States? She never really lived there. Would she go back? If you said,
yeah, she would go back. But it's not like necessity, she like a lot of people like, oh, you know what? I want to go back to the States. I want to do it. But what people don't get is that what we live as Americans every day is quality, but I want quality in life. And sometimes you don't get that, we're so involved with so many things are around us that they're selling this, they're selling this. It's just all these things around that make life, just, I don't know, these crazy ticket prices to go see a soccer game or go see a football game. Why can't it just be more normal? But it's about that dollar.
Unfortunately, I don't know if you can live under, if you can live for, you can definitely live cheaper in Costa Rica for sure. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if they say it's super expensive. If you want, you can live a pretty good freaking quiet, uh, more stress-free life in Costa Rica than I think you could in the United States.
Mike, I have a 3-bedroom house.
I've been there.
Okay.
You got a pond. You got like 1,000 tilapia fish.
Yeah, no fish. And I pay $850 a month.
And that's a property. You have a property.
Yeah.
You know, you have a nice house, a big ass pond.
Yeah. And
you're like, it's kind of like I always say, off the grid, on the grid. You're private a little bit, but you're on the road. You can, go here, go there, but you're back off. And
I couldn't even get a studio in California for $850.
Oh no, you couldn't.
It's just quality versus quantity, I guess.
Do you see? Are you, after the 6 years, are you going more Pura Vida attitude, or have you maintained your upbringing in the States for the most part, or are you just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, where are you at on that? Because obviously you live here, you have to do, whether you like it or not, like you said, you got to do the Pura Vida whether you really want to or not. But do you feel yourself being more one with it now, or not one with it?
I'm more one with it because I've learned how to maneuver in it. That's and that's what gives us our advantage when what we do.
Guys, Johnny is the one who, if anybody that keeps up or watches these videos or whatever, I just went through my banking experience to tie my business, my new corporation, to get a business account at the bank, and Johnny helped me, and I got it. But boy, talk about a process and talk about...
No, that was that wasn't even a process. That was part mission impossible.
People realize, to become one with things here, when sometimes you can't. Is it ineptness? Is it just I don't care? How you're getting dealt with. So I don't know if people understand how Pura Vida actually can work.
Tico told me this, okay? And this is crazy. He said, take your American attitude, your American thoughts, take a little bit of Tico, put it together, and create a gallo pinto. And because he says, you Americans think that you have this fax that comes in, you know when you're going to die. And you base everything on this life thing and enjoy it a little bit. And so
we're worker bees, man.
Yeah,
we're worker bees.
We work. My parents, we try to be always number one in anything that we do, and it's not bad. It's just that this is not this here, and you sort of like, okay, you know what? Either you're in the kitchen or you're out. That's it. They're not going to change. It's not going to change overnight. So you just...
it's not changing.
No, but I think the false thing that people, when they come to Costa Rica, is like, you came to Costa Rica for a reason. And it wasn't to make money. Is to get away from
that hamster wheel. Yeah, the hamster wheel. Get off the hamster wheel a bit. Right?
So that's kind of where I see it. We're getting better. Is it tough? Oh, yeah, it is very tough.
I don't know. Gringos are kind of funny because, they come here for that. Like, I want to live that simple life. But then they get upset when it doesn't work out.
No.
These little things. If you got to take the good with what you consider bad, but is it those cows in the road, is that really bad? You know what? In a sense, no, it's not.
When I'm going to Mike's place and I'm late, it's really bad.
I'm still a stickler for time, man. It's still a pet peeve. Although I've gotten I've gotten a lot better with it. I kind of go with it too. I'm like, all right, this is going to happen when it happens. That attitude is less stressful.
But it's just when people come here. And my advice is, when you come here, your expectation, always remember why you came here and what that focus was, and then listen to people like you have 800 videos, watch them. There's things that are said there over and over again. A lot of people say, listen to them, because you're not going to create a new thing, whether you speak the language or being. And I think best thing something I learned is good morning, buenos dias, buenas tardes, y buenas noches. If you always start your sentences whenever you talk to any Tico here with that conversation of how's your day going, or how's your afternoon going, or how was your even weekend, you get farther with things. And people might say, oh, that's just courtesy. Not everybody does it.
Yeah, well, courtesy is big.
Yeah. If you have courtesy here, you avoid it. And even if the person behind that counter a little bit ugly, and you're the most beautiful woman in the world, or man, or whatever it is, it'll go better. But if you go with an attitude of when I was in the service, I'm like, we're gonna just plow through things. If you try to plow through things here, they're just gonna get in the road, and you're not gonna get anywhere.
Oh, you might win a battle, but you're not going to win the war.
Never.
You are not going to win the war. Any gringo that comes in here, I'm going to show them what's up. This is how they should do things. They're going to nod their head, but they're also going to go passive aggressive on you, and your paperwork's going to a stack that doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, no, it's
so maybe one more question. This is about 30 minutes. So how was it? So you started a whole new life kind of because you started your own business here.
That was another process.
So, I mean, how did you plan for that while you were in the States, or how did that transition go with the business?
Well, when I first came here, my first thing was I wanted a senior living facility that me and my father wanted to do on a plot of land that I did. And I fell into, since I had a healthcare background, meeting doctors and stuff, and it just started coming, and fell into the medical tourism.
Oh, you fell into it?
Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't the plan?
No, the plan was for the senior living facility that's I will do, but it was medical tourism second, and just came in. The stem cells came in. It was a very big boom, but that also led to dental and medical, and people just kept on asking. And
you kept investigating.
Kept investigating to make sure that whoever we referred them to was really who they were saying.
Right. All right. Well, that may be part one. We might be talking to Johnny again. Anyway, thank you for kind of making it more confusing than ever.
Well, Mike, is not confusing. It's just telling the truth of what life really is in Costa Rica.
Well, it's just so interesting that you're Tico and you come from a gringo background, and you actually went through everything that everybody that's thinking about moving to Costa Rica, you got to go through what you did, and you're Tico.
Yeah, yeah. We weren't. There's no special line. You know what I'm going to do? The only special one thing I will leave with Costa Rica is two things. They pump your gas here at the gas station.
They do.
I love that.
And wash your windshield.
And wash your windshield. Put air, and they're not asking here's a tip. And the second thing is that seniors are respected here. Head of the line privileges at banks and many institutions. I like
well,
that.
No, that's banks and stuff, but just the overall, people love their parents.
Oh, yeah.
People love their parents here, which is very nice to see. That's the other thing about Costa Rica. You know, they're out in the park on a Sunday. They don't make a ton of money, but they're out there with they brought some chicken with them, and they got a soccer ball.
Yeah.
And they're out there with the kids, very family oriented.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you see a little bit of less than that in the States now. Could be wrong. I've been there, but very family oriented. And the grandmother, grandfather are the matriarch people, and they are held into big time esteem. In the States, it's like, man, when's he gonna die?
Let me collect.
I want to get that house.
No, it's
not everybody.
Well, thanks, Mike.
Yeah, all right, man. I'm Michael Allen, travelcostaricanow.com. Peace, guys. Hope it was a little informative. If you're thinking about living or traveling anywhere, always do your homework and research. And if it's Costa Rica, I'm going to put our videos up against anybody's. Ciao.